Okay. Now today we are going to integrate with Oracle database. Okay. So till now we are able to read the data whatever I have placed in the input file in the input folder. Okay. I have placed some sample CSV or fat file in the input folder, and I'm able to read the data and I'm able to fetch the data into the view. Now today I need to send the data into the Oracle database. Okay. Now let's start the integration with the Oracle database. Now today, once after finishing the session, I'm going to share the Oracle DB setup file and at the same time installation video. Please try to download the Oracle DB setup file and try to install by using the video. Okay. Now let's start how to establish the connectivity with the database. Okay. So first you need to enter Windows R. Okay. In your keyboard, you need to enter Windows R. That is nothing but run command. And then you need to enter SQL plus. Okay, you need to enter SQL plus in the tab here, and then you need to click on OK. Now this will be opening the Windows command prompt, that is a database command prompt here. Now once after opening the database command prompt, now here you need to enter the database name. 1 second, it is loading. Now you need to enter the database name. And whenever you are practicing, please don't try to use same database names and passwords. Please try to use your own personal names here. Okay, I have used the database name, and now here I am going to use the password. Now I am able to establish the connectivity with Oracle database 11G Express Edition. Okay. Now here, whenever I am going to send the data from Boomi to the database, in general, the data will get stored in the form of tables. Okay, in database, the data will get stored in the form of tables. Okay. Now here, I am going to take 3 branches. Okay, now here I am going to take 3 branches. And whatever the data I'm getting into the branch shape, the same data I'm able to send into the database here. Okay, as part of that here, I'm going to use the database connector. Okay, I'm going to use the database connector. Okay. Now I need to send the data into the database. Okay. So in order to send the data into the database, now here I need to create the table. Why? Because whatever the data we are sending into the database, it will get stored in the form of tables. So because of that reason, here I'm going to create the database table. Now here I'm going to create the table as create table. I'm going to give the table name. Table name, I'm going to mention it as orders 16th September. Orders 16th September. Okay, I'm going to open the table name as orders 16th September. Now I'm going to open the bracket. Whenever you are practicing, please don't try to use same table name. Why? Because if there is the duplication of the table name, you are not going to execute the process here. And actually, the table itself is not going to get created. Okay, please try to use some unique table names here. Now here I have created the table name as create table orders 16th September. Now then here I am going to use the order ID. Okay, now we are having the elements order ID in the input file. So because of that reason, same elements I am going to create here order ID. Now here order ID data type is a number. Okay, order ID most of the times it will be a number. So because of that reason, here I am going to choose data type as number. Then I am going to take another element as product. Okay, so here product is a variable character. So because of that reason, here I am going to take variable character of length 30 here. Okay, then I am going to take the price element. So in general, price element will be always a number. So because of that reason, here I am going to take the data type as number. Then here, wantedly, I am going to add 2 more fields. Okay, here I am going to add 2 more fields. Those are nothing but city and purchase date. Okay, anyhow, I'm going to modify the input file by entering these 2 fields. So as part of that, here I'm going to enter 2 more fields, city and purchase date. Why? Because whenever we are going to see any type of invoice, okay, whenever we are going to see any type of invoice, we are going to see the city and purchase date in that invoice. So as part of that here, I'm going to take another element as city. So city will have the variable character of length 30. Okay, so because of that reason here I am going to add 30, and then I am going to take the purchase date. So purchase date in the sense in general, whenever you go to any shopping mall, మనం ఎప్పుడైనా షాపింగ్ మాల్కి వెళ్ళి మనం ఏదైనా పర్చేస్ చేసామంటే, so whatever the date we are going to have on that particular day we are going to get on the invoice. So because of that reason, here I am going to take a purchase date. 1 second, please be on the line. Hello. Okay, now here I have taken the purchase date. So in what I need to get the purchase date is nothing but the system date. So because of that reason, purchase date where date equal to default sys date. Sys date in the sense I need to get the system date. So because of that reason, here I'm going to specify the sys date and I'm going to close this one and I'm going to use the semicolon. Now my table is created. Now if I want to see the table elements, okay, now if I want to see the table elements, here I am going to use describe and then I am going to use the order details here. So here I am going to use orders 16th September. Okay, I'm going to use the orders of 16th September and then I'm going to use the semicolon. Sorry. 1 second. Okay, H is missing. So here I'm going to use describe orders 16th September. I'm going to use the semicolon. Now here I'm able to see all the elements whatever are available in my table. Order ready, product price, city and purchase date. Now I need to send the data from Boomi to the database. Okay, so before sending the data, first I need to modify the input file. Now here I need to enter the elements here. So here I'm going to use city code. Instead of city, here I'm extending the city code. Why I am using city code, you will get to know in the next couple of minutes. Okay, for time being, please try to understand. Here I am using the city code and then I am going to use the purchase date here. Okay, I am going to use the purchase date. Okay, I am going to use the purchase date. Okay, now here in the city code, I am going to mention HYD. And then coming to the city purchase date, I am going to mention day before yesterday's date. That is nothing but 15th September 2025. 15th September 2020. Now here I am going to use MUM, okay, as city name. Okay, now here I am going to use 14th September. Okay, just I am using previous dates. Why? Because at the time of execution, you should know whether I am getting the system date or not. Okay, 15th September 2025, and here I am using 14th September 2025. 14th September 2025. I am going to save this one. I am going to save this one. Now I'm going to configure the data here. Okay. So first I need to configure the database connector. Okay. Now I'm going to click on this database connector. Now I'm going to configure this one. So first I need to establish the connectivity. So I'm going to click on this plus button and here I'm going to select Oracle database and here I need to use the username. Okay. So here my database username is XC. Okay. So whenever you are creating, you need to create the separate username. So here I'm going to use my username as XC and here I'm going to use the password. Then I'm going to click on apply. Okay, these two things you need to create unique and host and port in database name, you need to maintain the same standard. But whenever you are working in real time, the host port details and database name will be given by the respective client. Okay, for practice purpose, you please try to maintain the local host. Okay, host equal to local host and here port equal to 1521 and then database name you need to use capital XC. Okay, these three things you please try to maintain the same things here. I'll save this one. Once after testing here, you are able to see the option test connection. It means that you need to test here whether you are able to establish the connectivity with the database or not. So for that purpose here, I am going to select on this test connection and here I am going to use the runtime engine and then I am going to click on next. Okay. Now it is going to check whether I'm able to establish the connectivity with the database or not based on the configuration settings I have given. Now test connection is successful. It means that I'm able to establish the connectivity with the database. I'm going to click on finish, save and close. Okay. So before going further, I need to move this connection to the common connections folder. As I have told you previously, whenever you create any type of connection, you need to move that connection to the common connections folder. Now I have created this connection. I am moving that one into the common connections folder. Okay. Now I'll come back to the connection here. Now action is sent. Why? Because I'm sending the data into the database. So because of that reason here in the action, I'm going to select send option. Now I'm going to configure the operation. Okay, whenever I'm configuring the operation here, I'm going to create the profile. Okay, I'm going to create the profile. I'll click on this plus button. And here I'm going to select the statement. Under this, I'm going to select dynamic insert. Okay. Once after selecting dynamic insert, I'm going to save this one. Then I'll come to the options. Okay. I have selected the dynamic insert. Then I'm going to select on this import option. Once after selecting import option, now here we need to select the local atom. And then based on the connection, whatever you have configured here. Okay. So based on the connection, whatever you have configured here, accordingly, it is going to establish the connectivity with the database, and then it is going to import all the tables, whatever are available in the database. I am going to click on next. Now it is going to communicate with the database and it is going to import all the tables. Okay, whenever you are executing, this is not an error. For just for time being, you come back and then you click on next. Now it is going to communicate with the database and it is going to load the tables in the database here. Now see here, Atom is connecting to the database. Atom is loading database tables here. Now, finally, I will be able to I will be able to check the database table. Okay, my table name is orders 16th September. Okay, let's see where is 16th September. See. Orders 16th September. This is my table which I have created just now. Then I'm going to click on next. Now it is going to import the respective elements here. City, order ID, price, product, and all these things I have created in the table. Now I'm going to import all the table elements. I'll click on next. Then I'm going to click on finish. Now here I'm able to see all the respective elements here. I'm going to save this one. Save and close. Save. Save and close. I'll click on OK. I'm able to configure the database connector. Once after this configuration, once after configuring this connection, now whatever the data I'm getting from the branch shape is in the form of CSVR plot file. Okay, whatever the data I'm getting here, that is in the form of CSVR plot file. Now I need to convert that data into the database and then I need to send into the database format. So in order to convert that particular CSVR plot file into the database format, here I need to use the map shape. Okay, with the help of this map shape, I'm going to convert the data into the database file format. Now I'm going to configure the map shape here. Now I'll click on this plus button. Now this is the source side. What is the type of data I'm getting here to the map shape? That is in the form of CSVR plot file. Here I'm going to select that respect to plot file profile. Okay, now here I'm going to select the respect to plot file profile which is belonging to your batch, and then I'm going to click on it. Now here I'm able to see the elements order ID, product and price. But now in the input file, I have added two more elements. Those are nothing but city code and purchase date. So as part of that, here I'm going to select that platform profile. And here I'm going to add those elements. How to add elements? I'll select on this elements tab and then I'm going to select add element. And here I'm going to select city code. Okay, I'm going to write city code. Okay, I'll save this one. Once after saving, again, I'm going to take another element, add element. And here, I'm going to select the purchase date. I'm going to select the purchase date. Yes?
Sir, ఎలా కాకుండా కార్నర్ క్లిక్ చేసి డైరెక్ట్ మళ్ళీ ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు.
Yes, you can import directly. Okay. Just I'm adding the elements in order to show you this feature. I'm using this. Okay. I have added these elements, city code and purchase date. I'll save this one, save and close. Now in the source side, I'm having all the elements, order ID, product price, city code and purchase date. In the target side, just now I have created the database profile. Okay. Now here I'm going to select the database and here I will choose the respective database profile which I have created just now. Okay, here already I'm having the database profile, but I will go to the respective folder and I will select the respective database profile and then I'm going to click on it. Now here I'm having all the fields. Okay, now I'm going to map order ID to the order ID, product to the product, price to the price, city code to the city. Now I need to retrieve the purchase date. So purchase date is nothing but I need to get the system date. Okay. So at the time of execution, whatever the system date we are going to have, that respective date I need to fetch here. So as part of that here, I am going to click on these functions, and here I am going to select the date function, and then I am going to select the get current date. Okay. Now the respective result I am going to map to the purchase date. Okay. I'll save this one, save and close. I'll click on. Now I'm going to map this one, and then I'm going to connect here. Then I will use the stop step here. I'll save this one. Now I'm going to test the process. Okay, execution completed successfully. Okay. Now I'm going to click on this database connector. I'll click on the shape source data. After opening this document viewer, here I'll be able to see the data. Okay, so in the database format, the each and every element will be separated by pipe symbol. Okay, see here Mumbai 102 70,000 laptop and purchase date 16th November 16th September 2025. In the input file, even though I have mentioned yesterday's date and the day before yesterday's date, but here I am able to see the today's date 16th November 2025. Now the same data I will be able to see in the database as well. Okay, how to see the same data in the database? So here I'm going to use the command. Here I'm going to use the command select star, select star from. I need to give the table name. So my table name is orders 16th September semicolon. Now here I'm able to see the city Mumbai, order ID 102, product laptop, purchase date and price. Okay, I'm able to see the respective information. Okay, till here it's fine. Now my requirement is going to change. My requirement is that my client is going to expect me to have the full name of the city. Instead of having the city code, they are expecting to have the full name of the city. So in the input file, I have mentioned the city code as HYD and MUM. Okay, so because of that reason, here I'm able to see the MUM in the database. Okay, but now instead of having the city code as MUM, I need to have the city name. Okay, full name of the city. Okay, so you will be getting this type of requirement whenever you are working for e-commerce clients. Okay, sometimes based on the pin code, you need to retrieve the city name. And at the same time, suppose for the first time, the Domino's or McDonald's, they are entering to India. Okay, so at that point of time, they are going to have limited outlets. Okay, so during that situation, they are going to ask you, based on this outlet code, you need to retrieve the outlet address. Sometimes if you are working for manufacturing client, based on the spare part ID, you need to retrieve the spare part name. Okay, like this, you are going to have the different requirements. Okay, so at that point of time, I need to use the concept of cross-reference table. Okay, in Boomi, we are having the concept of cross-reference table, and here cross-reference table is a component. Okay, cross-reference table is a component. Whenever it is a component, we can reutilize that one across multiple processes. Whenever it is a component, we can reutilize that one across multiple processes here. Okay. Now, whenever it is a component, we can reutilize that one across multiple processes here. Okay. Now, here by using that cross-reference table, we are going to have some sort of key value pairs. Okay, in the cross-reference table, we are going to have the key value pairs. So for those key value pairs, with the concept of lookup operation, okay, with the concept of lookup operation, we can retrieve the values here. Okay, so we are going to apply the lookup operation on those key value pairs. We are going to retrieve the values. Okay, so first I am going to create the cross-reference table here. Now I am going to create one more folder and I will name that folder as CRT. Okay, CRT means cross reference table. Okay, CRT means cross reference table. Okay, in real time, some people might be calling it as CRT. It means that cross reference table. I'm going to save this one. Once after saving here, I'm going to select this one and then I'm going to select new component. Okay, so as I have told you that cross reference table is a component. So here I'm going to select cross reference table and then I'm going to create. So whenever you are working in real time, suppose if you are having bulk data, okay, so at that point of time, you are going to get the data in the form of Excel. So you need to import that Excel sheet and automatically the respective values will get displayed here. But right now I'm not having the bulk data, just I'm having the limited data. So because of that reason here, I'm going to select update table definition. So here I can apply the comparison between 6 values. But now, for time being, I'm going to apply the comparison between 2 values. So based on the city code, I need to fetch the city name here. Okay, then I am going to click on OK. So in the place of city code. So if I want to add the values, I am going to click on this plus button and here I am going to add the value as HYD. For that respect to HYD, I am going to pass the value as Hyderabad. In the similar way, I have started one more unit and I have expanded my business into some other city. So because of that reason here, I am going to click on this plus button and here I am going to add MUM. And here in the place of city name, I am going to name it as Mumbai. Okay. Now suppose if I am shutting down the business in Mumbai, I'll check this one and then if I close this button, automatically the respective Mumbai field will get deleted here. Okay, like this you need to add the fields. Suppose if you expand your business in some other city, you click on this plus button and you can add one more. Okay, like this you need to configure this one. I'll save this one, save and close. Now I'll come back to the mapping here. Okay, I'll come back to the mapping. I'll click on this mapping. Now here I am going to remove the, so here I need to do the mapping for the city code and city. So I'm going to remove the mapping between city code and city. Now I will come to the functions. The functions here, I'm going to select lookup operation. Okay. In the functions, I'm going to select the lookup operation. Here, I'm going to select cross-reference lookup. Okay. Here, I'm going to select cross-reference lookup. And then I'm going to click on OK. Now here, we need to select that respective cross-reference table. We need to select that respective cross-reference table. Now I'm going to click on this plus button. Now I'll go to the respective folder. Here I'm having the CRT table, cross-reference table. I'm going to select that cross-reference table. Now here I'm going to apply the lookup operation. Okay. Now here I'm going to select the lookup references. I'm going to click on this plus button. Here, based on the city code, I need to retrieve the city value. So here I need to select the respective value. So based on the city code, I need to retrieve the city name here. I'm going to click on OK. I'll click on. Now here I'm having the cross references. Now I'm going to select city code to the city. Now the output city name to the city here. It means that whatever the value I am going to retrieve from the input file. Okay, whatever the value I am going to retrieve from the input file, that respective value is going to apply the lookup operation in the cross-reference table, and then it is going to retrieve the value of the city code, and then it is mapped with the city name, and it is going to retrieve the city name value, and the respective city name value will be sent to the city here. I am going to save this one, save and close, and then I'm going to save this one. Now I'll test this process. Once after testing, I should be careful enough to see the full name of the city in the database table. Now, execution completed successfully. Now, if I click on this database connector, if I click on this share source data, if I open this document viewer, finally here I'll be able to see the respective information. See here, I'm able to see the full name of the city, Mumbai. Previously, it is having only MUM. Now I'm able to see the full name of the city. In the database, each and every element will be separated by 5%. Okay. This is one of the scenario. And one more scenario is there. We'll be showing that one along with the Salesforce. Okay. Tomorrow we are going to start the Salesforce integration.